Welcome, friends, to today's exploration of human character through the lens of Stoic wisdom. I'm Stoic Warrior, and I'm delighted you've joined me on this journey into the heart of what it means to be supported and, perhaps more importantly, what it looks like when support is absent. We all crave encouragement, understanding, and backing from those around us, whether in our personal lives, our careers, or our innermost aspiration. Yet all too often, we encounter individuals whose words ring hollow, whose actions fall short, or whose presence drains rather than uplifts us. Why does this matter? From a Stoic perspective, external factors such as other people's behaviors, opinions, and attitudes are outside our direct control. What we can control, however, is how we interpret and respond to those behaviors. By identifying the signs of unsupportive people in our lives, we empower ourselves to maintain our tranquility, preserve our inner strength, and choose where to invest our time and energy. Over the next several minutes, we'll uncover 5 clear signs that someone is unsupportive. We'll view each sign through the timeless Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, and we'll ask ourselves reflective questions to ensure we're not only recognizing these patterns in others, but also cultivating an inner resilience that no external circumstance can shake. So, take a deep breath if you're driving or walking. Find a safe moment to pause and absorb what follows. Let's embark together on this Stoic journey toward greater clarity and inner freedom. Sign 1. They consistently minimize or dismiss your goal. You ever felt the sting of sharing a deeply held aspiration, perhaps to write a book, launch a business, or pursue a new career, only to have the person across from you shrug, roll their eyes, or mutter that it's unrealistic? This repeated minimization is not a minor irritant. It strikes at the core of our agency and self-worth. From a Stoic vantage point, our ability to set and pursue meaningful goals is an expression of our rational nature, our defining characteristic as humans. When someone continually dismisses those goals, they're attacking not just your plans, but your very faculty for reasoned choice. The Stoics teach us to distinguish between what lies within our control, our judgments, intentions, and actions, and what lies outside other people's opinions, the weather, chance events. Marcus Aurelius reminds himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When a friend or colleague belittles your ambitions, they are attempting to relocate your power into their own skeptical narrative. They invite you to relinquish your sovereignty, to hand them the helm of your inner ship. Yet you needn't acquiesce. Look deeper. Why do they minimize? Often it springs from their fears. They have witnessed too many dreams falter, and, perhaps unconsciously, they project those failures onto you. Or they may feel threatened. Your courage to dream highlights their reluctance to risk. Seneca cautions us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The dismissal may reflect the suffering they anticipate, not the merit of your goal. Recognizing this allows you to offer compassion rather than anger. Even as you stand firm, imagine this exchange. You say, "I'm working on a novel," and they respond, "Writing a book takes years, you'll never finish." Their tone conveys finality. How might a Stoic respond? First, by practicing prosouche, moment-to-moment mindfulness. Notice your emotional reaction. Does a surge of self-doubt rise? Label it without judgment, then return to your breathing. This pause dissolves the power of their words. Next, you reframe the situation. Epictetus teaches, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Instead of internalizing their skepticism, see it as data about them, not about you. Ask, is there any constructive kernel here? If not, let it pass like a cloud across the sky of your consciousness. Your goal remains intact, but Stoicism is not cold indifference. There is room for dialogue. You might respond calmly, "I appreciate your concern. What part worries you most?" By asking a question, you shift from a defensive reaction to active inquiry. This both tests the substance of their critique and models the Stoic virtue of philosophical curiosity. If they articulate real concerns, say, time management, you can consider their point through the lens of reason. If they simply reiterate it's impossible, you recognize their stance as an echo of fear, not of rational analysis. Emotionally, this practice reawakens your inner citadel. You choose your narrative. Yes, writing a novel is challenging. I'll take it one chapter at a time. In doing so, you transform external dismissal into internal determination. As Marcus Aurelius writes, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. By revising that estimate, you become free. Finally, reflect on the company you keep. Stoic friendship is a two-way path of mutual encouragement. Seek out those who ask, "What inspired you to start? How can I help?" Such voices don't guarantee success, but they foster your best efforts. And when unsupportive individuals appear, you no longer cede control to them. You simply acknowledge their perspective and return to your chosen course. In this way, consistent dismissal of your goals ceases to be a barrier and becomes a Stoic test of your resolve. Each naysayer is an invitation to deepen your self-reliance, sharpen your reason, and reaffirm your commitment to what truly matters. Sign 2, they offer conditional or transactional help. There is a subtle pain in realizing that the support you once celebrated was less a gift of goodwill and more a calculated exchange, help handed out only on the condition of future favors or unspoken debts. When assistance comes with strings attached, it corrodes trust and transforms a nurturing bond into a ledger of obligations. From a Stoic perspective, genuine philanthropia, or love of humanity, rises from goodwill unburdened by transaction. As Seneca counsels, wherever there is a human being, there's an opportunity for kindness. True kindness does not tally accounts. Imagine a colleague who offers to review your presentation, but only after you promise to sponsor their project next quarter, or a friend who lends an ear to your troubles, yet withdraws the moment you cannot reciprocate with time, money, or praise. In each case, their aid is conditional alone, not a gift. The Stoics urge us to examine the intentions behind our relationships. Epictetus reminds us that goodwill springs from our capacity to choose virtuous actions, not from any anticipation of reward. Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen. If someone's help always comes with a but, it means their charity is governed by personal desire rather than by the Stoic ideal of virtue. Why does conditional help feel so draining? Emotionally, it breeds anxiety and resentment. You wonder, have I done enough to earn their support? Do I owe them still more? Such questions divert your mental energy away from creative work or personal growth and into the realm of debt management. Stoicism teaches us to conserve our emotional reserves for what truly matters, living by nature and reason, not negotiating favors. Marcus Aurelius asserts, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In practical terms, if someone's assistance hinges on your future utility to them, they are focused on the transaction, not on nurturing your character or well-being. But there is a deeper philosophical layer. The Stoics speak of oikiosis, a process of recognizing kinship with others and expanding our circle of concern. True altruism is an expression of this natural affinity. It extends help because human flourishing is itself intrinsically valuable. Conditional help, by contrast, reflects a truncated oikiosis, one that stops at self-interest or close reciprocity, rather than expansively embracing goodwill toward all. When you encounter someone whose help is transactional, notice where their circle of concern begins and ends. Does it include your best interests, or only what you can provide them? Let us consider a practical Stoic response. First, cultivate indifference to the conditional nature of the help, recognizing that what truly matters is your own choice to act virtuously. You may accept the assistance gratefully while reframing it internally as an external fact beyond your control. Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By controlling your reaction, you preserve your tranquility. Second, practice discernment. Distinguish genuine offers from those laden with obligation. When a proposed favor carries an expectation, thank the person and then politely define your terms of engagement. This is not ungratefulness. It is setting a boundary that honors both your integrity and theirs. Emotionally, notice what arises within you when conditional help is offered. Do you feel small or used? Label that emotion without judgment, perhaps as felt pressure or lingering tension. Then return to your guiding Stoic principle, to act according to reason and virtue. Decide whether you will accept, decline, or propose a clearer form of mutual support. In doing so, you demonstrate the Stoic virtue of courage, the bravery to uphold your values even when social expectations tug you toward accommodation. Finally, nurture relationships founded on mutual goodwill, unburdened by transaction. Seek friends and mentors who offer guidance from a place of genuine care, who say, "How can I support you?" without an asterisk. When you yourself give help, offer it freely, without expecting repayment. This reciprocity of genuine kindness enriches your character and strengthens your community. As Seneca reminds us, one of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. In such friendships, help is not a commodity, but a shared expression of humanity. In the end, conditional help need not leave you embittered. It can serve as a mirror, reflecting where your boundaries lie and how you wish to be treated. Each offer, with strings attached, becomes an opportunity to practice inner freedom, to respond with clarity rather than reactivity, and to choose relationships rooted in the unshakable bedrock of Stoic virtue. Sign 3. They consistently undermine your confidence. Other is a unique ache. When the person you confide in, be it a friend, partner, or colleague, subtly picks away at your achievements and self-worth. One moment you share a triumph, the next, you feel hollowed out by their microscopic focus on flaws, caveats, or comparisons. This relentless undermining attacks the bedrock of your inner citadel, the Stoic ideal of fortitudo animi, or strength of mind. To withstand it, we must turn once more to our guiding principles, the clear-eyed distinction between what we control and what we do not, and the unwavering cultivation of our own reasoned judgments. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "No man is hurt but by himself." Here he reminds us that the true source of our distress lies not in another's words, but in our interpretation of them. When someone consistently highlights your missteps, yes, you gave that presentation, but you stumbled over the last slide, they hand you an invitation to self-doubt. If you accept it, you become complicit in your erosion, yet you need not accept it. First, let us analyze the philosophy more deeply. The Stoics teach apatheia, a state of equanimity in which external provocations cannot disturb our inner peace. But apatheia is not numbness. Rather, it is discerning what truly matters. Constructive feedback, rooted in genuine care, can sharpen our skills and refine our character. Destructive criticism merely aimed at belittlement serves no virtuous purpose. Epictetus urges us, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. When undermining words arise, embody apatheia, listen, sift truth from toxicity, then discard what serves no growth. Seneca writes, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." In the same way, not how many criticisms you receive, but how you respond defines your character. Each undermining remark becomes a test. Will you let it dictate your self-view, or will you reaffirm your internal worth? The Stoic warrior stands firm, not by ignoring the arrow, but by intercepting it with reasoned judgment. Emotionally, the sting of being undermined can feel personal, even cruel. You may notice tightness in your chest or a voice in your head whispering, maybe they're right, maybe you are not capable. Name that emotion, hurt, doubt, or insecurity, and observe it without judgment. This mindful labeling, a form of prosoche, transforms raw hurt into manageable data. By watching your reaction, you reclaim the vantage point from which you can choose your next move. Practically, when that familiar undermining tone emerges, pause, breathe deeply. You might respond, "I appreciate your perspective. Can you point to one specific suggestion for improvement?" This question shifts the dialogue from vague put-downs to concrete, actionable insight. If none emerges, you have clarified the nature of their critique. It is not about building you up, but about asserting control or superiority. Recognize this behavior as their projection of fear or insecurity. Marcus Aurelius also counsels, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Let each undermining comment become a catalyst for your resilience. If someone says, "You're not disciplined enough to reach that goal," use it as fuel to develop a consistent habit regime. Your trajectory, after all, is charted by your choices, not by their skepticism. Over time, cultivate a small circle of sympathia, Stoic allies who mirror your best virtues and offer encouragement balanced with honesty. Notice how you feel after talking with them, uplifted, clear-headed, and ready to act. Then contrast that with how you feel after an undermining encounter. These emotional barometers guide you toward relationships that nourish your fortitude. In your private reflections, journal the undistilled facts. They said X, I felt Y. I choose to believe Z. This journaling practice anchors you in reality, unspooling the tangled threads of emotion and doubt. Seneca affirms, begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. Each time you overcome an attempt to undermine, you live anew, stronger, wiser, more steadfast. Ultimately, persistent undermining need not erode your spirit. By applying Stoic teachings, practicing equanimity, reframing critics as data points, and reaffirming your reasoned worth, you transform every dagger into a stepping stone. Your inner citadel stands unshaken, its foundations cemented by virtue, clarity, and the unwavering recognition that true confidence comes from within. Sign 4. They rarely celebrate your success. A fear is a quiet ache that settles in your chest. When you share a hard-won victory, whether it's closing a difficult deal, completing a challenging project, or simply sticking to a goal you set weeks ago, and the person you hope would cheer reacts with a distracted nod or quickly shifts the topic. In Stoic terms, this absence of celebration is a lack of sympathy, the sense of shared feeling that binds us together. When someone rarely acknowledges your successes, they deprive you of communal joy and leave you to shoulder your triumphs alone. Over time, this omission corrodes your emotional bank account, making even genuine achievements feel hollow. Why does recognition matter so deeply? Seneca reminds us in his letters, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, but love of life is incomplete without connection. The Stoics saw human flourishing as a communal endeavor. When your efforts go unnoticed, your present joy is muted, and you're left wondering whether your progress is real or imagined. Ask yourself, after I share good news, do I leave the conversation feeling energized or deflated? If it's the latter, take heed. This is not merely about manners, but about your emotional well-being. The silent response of a once close friend often stems from envy, distraction, or simply an inward focus that blinds them to your light. Marcus Aurelius wrote, dig within. Within is the wellspring of good, and it is always ready to bubble up if you just dig. When someone else fails to dig alongside you to acknowledge your wellspring, they reflect their disconnection from the source of goodwill. Their inability to celebrate isn't a verdict on your worth, but a mirror of their inner state. Recognizing this frees you from blaming yourself or shrinking your joy to fit their indifference. Still, indifference can sting like a bruise. You might feel anger, hurt, or loneliness. Label these feelings calmly, perhaps as wounded expectation or quiet sorrow, and observe them without judgment. This practice of prosouche, or moment-to-moment awareness, allows you to feel fully without being consumed. In the silence that follows their muted response, you can choose a Stoic reply. I understand you may be busy, but I'm proud of what I've accomplished. By speaking your truth gently, you honor your joy and give them a chance to catch up. Cultivating inner celebration is equally vital. Epictetus teaches, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Before seeking external applause, learn to applaud yourself with a private acknowledgement of your effort, a moment of gratitude, or a journal entry that records your victory. This interior ceremony bolsters your sense of agency, so that even if others remain silent, your spirit resonates with satisfaction. Over time, this practice reduces dependence on external validation and deepens your self-respect. Yet we are social beings. It makes sense to seek relationships in which successes are met with warm acknowledgement. Reflect on your circle. Who leans in with genuine curiosity? Tell me more about how you did that. Who asks follow-up questions, not out of obligation, but from heartfelt interest? These are the individuals whose presence amplifies your joy and whose cheers echo in your soul. Invest more in those connections and gently step back from ones that habitually withhold celebration. In closing, rarely celebrated victories need not dim your inner light. By understanding the Stoic foundations of shared humanity, sympathia, prosouche, And autarky, you transform unacknowledged successes into opportunities for deeper self-recognition. You learn to stand firm in your applause while also curating a community that genuinely rejoices alongside you. And when you do find those voices of celebration, you'll know that your achievements are not just personal milestones, but sparks that light up the world around you. Sign 5. They persistently offer advice that feels like control. There is a subtle but insidious pressure that arises when well-meaning advice transforms into a form of control. When each suggestion feels like a chain tugging at your autonomy. You may have experienced it. You should network more, you're never going to advance otherwise. Or why don't you quit that job and take something more stable? On the surface, these words masquerade as concern, but their true impetus is to steer your decisions toward the advisor's preferences, not your genuine path. From a Stoic standpoint, this dynamic runs counter to autarkia, or self-sufficiency, which holds that each person must act by their reason and nature. The Stoics were clear. External opinions, even those cloaked in kindness, are not invitations to surrender our judgment. Epictetus declared in his discourses, "Remember that it is not he who gives abuse or blows who affronts, but the view we take of these things as insulting. Likewise, when advice carries the weight of an expectation, the affront lies not in the counsel itself, but in our willingness to accept it as binding." By framing such guidance as indispensable, the advisor replaces your internal compass with their own, undermining your capacity for deliberate choice. Why do some people lean so heavily on prescriptive counsel? Often it stems from their desire for certainty or control. They project their anxieties about risk onto you, believing that if they can set your course, they protect both themselves and you from failure. Marcus Aurelius observed, "People exist for the sake of one another. Teach them, then, or bear with them." Yet true teaching empowers others to judge for themselves rather than to follow orders. When advice becomes insistence, you must do this, it stops being teaching and starts being coercion. Emotionally, persistent helpful admonitions can leave you adrift between gratitude and resentment. You may feel torn. I appreciate their care, yet I'm wary of surrendering my decisions. Label this tug of war calmly, perhaps as restless gratitude, and observe it without being swept away. This practice of prosoche, mindful attention, allows you to recognize the tension between your respect for the advisor's experience and your own need for self-determination. Seneca's wisdom offers a balancing act. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Seek relationships in which guidance is offered as perspective, not prescription. A true Stoic mentor might say, "Here is what worked for me. Consider it against your reasoning and values." Their words are seeds planted in your mind, not shackles around your will. Ask yourself, does this person invite me to think or to comply? If it's the latter, their counsel undermines your inner citadel, that sanctuary of personal choice the Stoics prized. When you feel an overbearing suggestion approach, practice the Stoic response of dispassionate inquiry. Breathe in, anchor yourself in the present, and respond, "Thank you for sharing your experience. How would you suggest I weigh this advice against my priorities?" This question reframes the conversation as a collaborative search for truth, one that acknowledges their viewpoint while asserting your right to decide. In doing so, you cultivate the Stoic virtue of courage, the bravery to uphold your rational judgment, even under social pressure. Beyond handling individual moments, fortify your autonomy through regular premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of possible difficulties. Anticipate that well-meaning friends might cross the line into control, and decide in advance how you will honor your agency. Perhaps you will express, "I value your insight, and I also need space to consider what aligns with my values." By setting this boundary calmly, you train both mind and heart to respect the sovereignty of your path. Finally, remember that Stoicism does not seek isolation, but harmonious interdependence, a balance of oikiosis, our natural affinity with others. In healthy relationships, advice flows both ways, rooted in mutual respect. You listen to them as they listen to you, and each perspective enriches the other without eclipsing individuality. As Marcus Aurelius so simply put it, be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Stand firm in your reasoned choices, allowing others' words to wash over you without altering your course. In this way, advice that once felt like a controlling leash becomes an opportunity to practice self-sufficiency, discernment, and courageous boundary setting. You emerge not only unshaken, but also enriched, guided by your inner compass and strengthened for the journey ahead. Sign 6. They vanish during your hardest times. There is a particular pain and crisis that cuts deeper than any setback, the sudden silence of those you once counted on. When storms gather, maybe a health scare, a career collapse, or an emotional breakdown, you reach out for a steady hand, an encouraging word, and discover that your calls go unanswered, messages unread. This vanishing act is a stark sign that the bond was never anchored in Philostorgos, devoted affection, but in convenience and ease. The Stoics understood that adversity reveals true character. Seneca writes in his letters, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body, yet strength is not forged in isolation. It is tempered in the fire of shared struggle. When friends disappear at the first crack in your armor, you learn that their loyalty was conditional on your ease, an echo of their fear that your hardship might soil their comfort." Facing abandonment, the initial wave of hurt can feel overwhelming. Betrayal, shame, loneliness. A Stoic does not reject these feelings. Instead, one greets them with prosouche, mindful attention. Label the sensations clearly. "I am wounded by their absence," or "I feel unmoored." By naming the emotion, you separate it from your essence, recognizing it as a transient response rather than an immutable truth. Marcus Aurelius offers guidance when isolation stings. Begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." Anticipating such trials prepares the mind. In premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of hardships, you accept that some will vanish when you need them most. This acceptance does not harden you into cynicism. Rather, it frees you from shock, allowing you to stand unwavering. But we must also guard against cold resignation. Epictetus reminds us, "No great thing is created suddenly. Healing from abandonment is a gradual work of virtue. You practice eunoia, goodwill toward others, by not judging their absence with vitriol. Perhaps they lack the inner resources to support you, or became overwhelmed by their challenges." Compassion does not excuse betrayal, but it prevents bitterness from clouding your reason. As your heart mourns the missing voices, build an inner citadel of self-reliance. Autarkia. Journal your experience, record the facts, your feelings, and your chosen Stoic response. This practice transforms pain into purposeful reflection. Turn also to those who remain, however few, who check in without demand or drama. Their presence, even in small gestures, nourishes your resilience. Seek out communities, perhaps fellow Stoics, who understand that friendship is tested in adversity, not only celebrated in joy. In their company, you rediscover sympathia, the sense of shared feeling that restores your trust in human connection. Finally, allow solitude itself to become a teacher. As Marcus Aurelius notes, the perception of pain is distressing, but not the pain itself. Your solitude need not be lonely. It can be a quiet forge in which your character is strengthened. In these still moments, you discover that the deepest support comes from within, from the reasoned conviction that you can endure, learn, and flourish no matter who remains or departs. When others vanish in your darkest hour, let Stoic wisdom illuminate the path forward. Recognize their absence without rancor. Fortify your inner resources and cherish the steadfast few whose loyalty shines all the brighter against the backdrop of loss. In this way, even the harshest trials become opportunities to embody the Stoic ideals of endurance, compassion, and unwavering self-mastery. There you have it, 6 signs that someone in your life may be unsupportive, dismissing your goals, offering conditional help, undermining your confidence, failing to celebrate your wins, exerting undue control, and vanishing in adversity. Recognizing these patterns will not only free you from draining connections, but also prompt you to fortify your inner resilience. Remember the Stoic call: cultivate what lies within your power, your judgments, your choices, your virtues, and let external turbulence wash over you like wind over the surface of a deep lake. As you move forward, Ask yourself daily, are my relationships guided by mutual respect, encouragement, and genuine goodwill? If not, gently adjust your expectations, establish boundaries, and invest more in those who stand with you. Thank you for listening. If you found value in today's reflection, I invite you to like this video, share it with friends who might need a Stoic perspective, and subscribe for more explorations into inner strength and practical philosophy. May you walk with clarity, courage, and calm in every chapter of your life. Until next time, be well, stay steadfast, and remember, the power to flourish lies within you.